Okay, good morning, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, fishing accomplices, and welcome back to Fishin. So we are getting at it right now. South Shore Bay action, New York City waters. I apologize, my posting schedule has become a bit irregular. But right now, we're going to try and do some fluke and potentially porgy action. So we've got gulp, we've got crabs, and we're gonna try and make the most of those, whatever that may look like. So thank you for watching. Hopefully I got something good for you, and please stay tuned because it's time to get some fishing accomplished. Okay, as much as I'd like to dive right into porgies, do something a little new for the season, this wind's gonna have to die down a little before I go to the spot that I want to go to. So we're gonna start with some fluke. Honestly, anything could happen today. On the way to where I am right now, I got bumped into by a cownose ray. It startled the crap out of me, but they're definitely around in full force. I'm seeing them all over, so I'm gonna do my best to try and avoid those. But in the meantime, let's see if we can get on some fluke action. We're gonna start with this 5-inch gulp paddle shad. It's been a real winner for me this season and every season. See if you can do the trick for me right now. I'm gonna start with the 1/2 ounce jig, though I think the tide's gonna be a bit strong for this to work, but we will try it. If we have to, we will upsize.
So this first series of spots I fished, I was basically just waiting out for the wind to die down. And I tried really all over the place, shallower, along drop-offs, and even in some deeper water. And it seemed like the most action I was really finding was in some of the deeper sections. So I decided to work this area, did some moderately length drifts, and once I did find some fish, I did go over and repeat those drifts. Most of the fish I was finding was sea robins and some small fluke, though every so often I would hook into something maybe a little bit more substantial, though again I wasn't really trying to commit to the spot for the whole day.
Ooh, yeah. That feels like a nice fluke. Not huge, but certainly better than what we've been getting. Oh no! Didn't even feel that big, but he definitely looked like a keeper. Oh well. Alright, we just dropped a pretty nice fluke right next to the boat. Not a huge fish, but probably flirting with legal, if not legal. I didn't get a very good look at it because of the water clarity, but if we hook that fish, there definitely could be some nicer fish around too. So we're gonna go over that at least one more time. Okay, so far we've really just been waiting for the wind to let up, and the wind has let up, and really it's only going to let up more as the day goes on. So this is my opportunity to make my way to the next spot before the tide switches over. We're probably going to start with fluke just because I anticipate there being a lot of traffic for porgies, but if I can find an opening right away, we'll try for that as well. I don't know, but let's see what we can make happen. All right, we got some moving tide, so I'm gonna try for fluke first, though I'm probably gonna have to upsize my weight, but we're gonna try with 3/4, see what we can do, and potentially have to go up to 1 or even 1.5 ounce, but fluke first. Okay, let's try again, but with a 1.5 ounce jig. This is some pretty intense current. It'll probably be like this for at least the next hour, give or take, so see what we can do with this. If it's a no-go, we can move in or just switch right to porgy fishing. There's the fish. It's a fluke. Not big, we gotta start somewhere. Something took the tail, that's no good. Okay, just got our first fluke out of this spot. Nothing big, but shows there's promise. We might, depending on how this drift goes, explore the option of fishing for porgies soon. I see a few open spots, and I don't think I'd be able to do my best fluke fishing with the tide raging this hard, at least not the way I like to fish for them. But anyways, definitely glad I waited to come here because this tide is raging, and if the wind was kicking up at the same time as this kind of tide. It'd be very messy here on a kayak, so I'm glad I was cautious to begin with. I don't think I would have had a lot of fun messing around with this, but let's see what we can do. Let's keep pushing for these Fluke for another drift or two. There's a better fish. A little better. That's certainly better. Could be a keeper. Just digging into the tide. It's probably not that big. Oh yeah, that's a keeper. Oh no! Come on. All right. Got to start somewhere, and we'll start with you. It's been a little while since we kept a Fluke, so I'm certain this is over 19. Yeah, he's like, it's not August yet, but he's still about 19 and a half, so sure. Okay, there have been times and seasons when I would throw back a 19.5-inch Fluke, but when you have an empty freezer and absolutely no fish, that is not one of them. So we're not going to complain. We're happy with the keeper. Let's see if we can get a few more before we decide what our next steps are going to be with regards to porgies, and hopefully not get tangled in the meantime. There he is. That's nice. Nice fish. That's a net tipper. No. Ah.
See if it comes back.
Something. That's definitely not as good as the one we dropped. Just dropped a fish, a nice fish, and got a consolation sea robin. Not the best trade, but let's see if we can get a better one. Let's try a longer drift now that this tide is settling down a little bit. It's kind of locked in some kind of pattern. Big fish, big fish, big fish, big fish, big fish, and he's gone. Damn it. Come on. Just dropped a very nice Fluke. Even if it was fouled, it was at the very least a nice shower mat, but all is not lost. There's definitely quite a few good fish around, so I'm gonna try and go right over that drift again, and if nothing else, just work this area. That's a Fluke. It's not the one we want. Here he is. Big fish. Big fish. Big fish. Come on, get out there. This might be the fish we missed before. It's always hard to tell in this current, but it's easily a keeper. I know that much. Do we have color? Oh God, not like that. That was incredibly awkward, but we got him. Choked it. A little over 22 from this board, so anywhere between 22 and a half and 23. All for it. Good fish. Okay, after all the flubs we've had today, it's nice to know we're taking some fish home. And I can think of no better time, folks. I guess this healthier soda, Culture Pop soda, this is watermelon flavored with lime. It's not a lot of sugar in here. It's only 45 calories, 10 grams of sugar for the can. Bought this at the gas station when I was getting ice. Yeah, this isn't bad. It's got some flavor. It definitely tastes like watermelon and lime. It's not too much. Like, it's just a level above a seltzer. I would definitely choose this over some of the nastier stuff I've reviewed in some of the previous videos where it's just way too oversweetened, but I don't know that I'd buy this over seltzer given the price point. You know, this is like $2 a can versus, you know, sometimes we're doing $2 a pack for some of our seltzers. So for all that, I'll give it a solid 8. Not too bad, just like the fishing for today. And let's just see if we can spice things up a notch.
After getting that fluke, I continued to fish and kept fishing for fluke for a while. And as the tide started to slow down and approach slack, the bite definitely started to suffer. I did catch some more fluke, but they were all shorts and quite a few more sea robins. And I know throughout this video I'm talking about, you know, porgy fishing. And I did try briefly, though. It must have been a lull in the action because there wasn't really too much going on with the bite during the brief moments that I did try for them. Not to say they weren't there, but it just wasn't the right moment. So after a good probably hour and a half or 2 hours after that fish without getting anything that remarkable, I decided to wrap things up. And we'll now pick up with the cook portion of this catch and cook, which was a day later. Okay, so welcome back to the kitchen. We are here making another meal. This time we are making General Tso's / Sesame chicken style fluke. So we have our fluke right here. This is just one of the fluke that we got in this session. We now have about a crown of broccoli right here. This will be cooked separately but mixed in. A small thing of mushrooms, pre-cut. Some toasted sesame seeds. Important that you toast these. Some baby corn chopped up. We have our wok right here, which we're going to put some oil into actually. So just vegetable oil is fine. First I'm just going to coat it while it heats up. Once that gets warm, we'll add a little more. And we have this pan that we're going to start our vegetables on. We're also going to coat this. Again, the vegetables is really a matter of preference. What you're probably here for is the fluke, so that's the star of the show, but we'll have both of these going, and then we have some rice going on this one. So that's the general main takeaway here. We're doing this the lazy way. We have this General Tso's sauce from Wegmans. I know ideally you'd make the sauce yourself, but I've got a toddler here and everyone's tired, so we are going the pre-made stuff. Maybe another day I'll make the sauce from scratch, but today this will do perfectly fine, and we'll take it from here. Okay, so next we have 3 containers here. We have flour, just plain old regular flour, all-purpose. We have 1 egg that is beaten that has some whole milk mixed in just to get a little bit more out of it.
And finally, we have some panko right here. So these are the three things we're going to use to construct our fish to make it more solid and chicken-like. All right, so we're doing quite a bit right now. We have our vegetables starting to cook right here, starting with the broccoli. I'm going to start adding some of the mushrooms actually, but in the meantime, let me show you how we're going to prep the fish. Got our Fluke pre-diced right here. Try not to do too much at a time, just to make sure that I'm not, overcooking it. So we start off in the flour like this. In fact, just throw a whole bunch in there. Get it nice and coated. Fluke. Next, I'm going to add it to the egg mix. And then finally, to the panko. And I guess the size is a matter of preference, but I like to have this basically the same size that you'd have it if you were having, like sesame chicken. So this is about good. And we're just gonna throw it in. We want this to get nice and well done. I like it nice and crispy, so make sure it's fully covered. We're gonna leave it in there, get a nice browning going. Okay, so after about a minute or so, I like to flip these, maybe even less sometimes, depending on the heat of the oil. I know I probably should measure the heat of the oil, but I'm just eyeballing it right now. There's a lot going on. So, nothing super technical, but just want that golden brown like that. Give it a little time, make sure it looks like that on both sides, and then we'll take it out and do the next batch. Once it's good and brown like this, just gonna put it in a bowl. Cover it up, start the next batch, and just repeat this process until you get through all the fish, and that's a wrap. Okay, so there's our Fluke in the bowl. It's a pretty large bowl. This meal is definitely a good way to kind of get the most out of a single fish, but next step we're going to do is take this and make this into what a lot of you might more commonly associate with General Tso's or sesame chicken. So let's get through the process. So I'm gonna try and do this gently. Pan's still pretty warm, but add all the fish. Got our General Tso sauce. Add all that. And to get the most out of this, add a little water. Shake it up. I'm just going to try and fold in the sauce. Yeah, there's probably a lot of different sauces you can do this with, but this Wegman sauce is like really meets the mark with this General Tso's flavor. So just try and fold all that in. Try not to over move it. Try not to over handle the fish. I want to keep it all intact. Have little morsels. Some of it's breaking apart, which is not unexpected, especially with Fluke. When I do this with hog, I think it holds together a little better. But here's the part you've been waiting for. Sesame seeds. Maybe a little bit too much, but I don't think you can have too much, really. Just fold that all in. Not really trying to cook it too much more. Just get it all nice and warm. Some of it's starting to break apart a little, but that's okay. Get that all kind of congeal together. It smells delicious. And we're actually going to add this back to the bowl, and you'll see why in a moment. Because now we are going to take the vegetables, which are very bland and just, fried over oil, and let them soak up all that juice. And while there isn't a lot of sauce left in the pan, we're going to add a few things that we just have to, make this worthwhile. So, obviously not a chef by any stretch of the imagination, but throw a little Kikkoman soy sauce on there. Generous amount. Wegmans sweet chili. And a little sesame seed oil I think will be good measure. Oh, and we'll cover this up to keep it nice and warm. And yeah, let's just soak up any flavor that's left in the pan. Kind of mix all those flavors up into the vegetables. Make things a little more interesting. Obviously not a necessary step, but if you are so inclined, this is how I like to pair the fish with the vegetables. Okay, so here we are. Without any more waiting, let's dive right in. So just to show you, we have the bed of rice in the bottom, the vegetables in the middle, the fish up top. Obviously, everything other than the fish is a matter of preference, but looks really good. I haven't done this with Fluke in a while. I usually do this with blackfish in the fall, but if you got Fluke, I guess that's the way to do it. So. Yeah. I don't think you can really go wrong with this one if you're willing to put in the time. It's definitely a good dish. It's certainly a crowd pleaser. Some people that might not gravitate towards fish meals might like this one because it's so different. It's more like a chicken style dish, honestly. It's also good if you're just tired of cooking fish the same way every single time, especially if you get a lot of fish this time of year. This is definitely a good thing to do if you want to mix it up a bit, if you haven't done so. And obviously, if you have the time to make your own sauce, by all means go for it. But definitely check this one out if you haven't done so already. I really enjoy this one. It's a little extra, legwork, but thoroughly worth it if you're willing to put in the time. So that's all the time I have for you today. Thanks for checking out the video. I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye, Fishin.